Well, the title that you gave to this discussion is broader and larger. Presently, the focus is on the question whether the war in Gaza will expand or will stop. The Israeli cabinet, as I understand, decided to move forward against the advice of the chief of staff of the Israeli army, saying that he thinks that presently the military operation, continued military operation, expanded, broader thrust of the Israeli army into Gaza is what he called a death trap, which means that it's likely to lose lots of Israeli soldiers, possibly also losing the hostages which are still alive, and also losing thousands of non-involved Palestinians in Gaza as a result of the military operation in the most densely populated area and the efforts made to move the Gazans away from the battle zone will not be successful or will not be comprehensive enough in order to save the lives of so many people. So the question is it worth the cost? Is there any goal that can be achieved by such a military operation, which is worth the cost, the lives, and the devastation, and also the possible political and ramifications for the status of Israel across the world. Most observers in Israel, outsiders of course, but in Israel, are absolutely certain that it's not worth it.
That it's not worth it.
That it's not worth it. I'm not sure, I'm not certain that the international community is fully aware of the opposition to this within the state of Israel. As of just late, most of the senior former commanders of the Israeli army, all of the senior generals, the commanders, the IDF chief of staffs, retired senior generals, commanders of Mossad, commanders of the security services, all signed a petition in which they say there is not anything that can be achieved which is worth the cost of a military operation. So the opposition is not just outside of the state of Israel, it's largely within the state of Israel. Now the question, of course, will it be successful or not? I hope it will, but I'm not certain about that, and I think it very much depends on one person, and this person is not the Israeli Prime Minister, who is a captive of the messianic groups within his own government. It all depends on one person, and this person is Day Trump. And the question is whether Day Trump is fully aware of all the complexities, of all the sensitivities, of all the dangers, and of all the prices, and I'm not certain about that.
It's almost ironic that you mentioned. I think some people are quite well aware that there's tremendous opposition inside Israel to Benjamin Netanyahu's policies, but the mechanisms available to them to make a difference. I'm puzzled as to what the route would be, what the process would be by which that opposition would make a difference to government policy. And as you put it, the real influence has to come from outside, not from within Israel, not from within Gaza, but from thousands of miles away across the Atlantic Ocean.
Well, unfortunately, fortunately, but sometimes unfortunately, Israel is a democracy.
Yeah.
So presently, government enjoys the majority in parliament due to elections which took place in entirely different circumstances. Nothing similar to what we have been going through in the last couple of years. And that parliamentary majority, gives them the authority, the power, formal, that is absolutely compatible to the basic principles of democracy to do what they decide to do. This is one thing. However, in all of the polls that were run in Israel over the last 2 years, consistently, there wasn't one time that the government or the parties of the coalition, present coalition, had substantial support. In fact, they were in a minority consistently every week, and more than 60% of the Israelis say that they don't trust the prime minister of the State of Israel at a time of war, which is a very, very significant and extraordinary figure considering the circumstances. Now, so what can be done and who can do it? Now, one thing, and again, I know that you know the facts, I know that you follow the news, but perhaps you are not fully aware of the significance of the phenomenon which is taking place in Israel over the last 2 years. Every day, every single day, there are hundreds of thousands of Israelis rioting, demonstrating in the streets across country. In Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, in every corner of Israel, hundreds of thousands of people are marching, are rioting, are confronting the police, and they are protesting and demonstrating against the policies of the government. So this is, I mean, I can think of some other measure, more extreme measures which can be taken, but I'm not sure that they correspond with what we consider to be part of democracy, okay? And at certain points, it can even erode to the most extreme, to the edge, that none of us want it to happen. Because sometimes the confrontations with the police, and the police, as you may have heard, is presently run by one of the most glorious figures in Israel's history, the terrorist Ben-Gvir, who was convicted 9 times in Israeli courts for being involved in terrorist actions. He is now the Minister of National Security. And the orders and the inspiration that he gives to police are very disturbing. And they sometimes express themselves in confrontations in the streets, which are rather violent and unpleasant and non-democratic. Where it can erode to what extent it can take place, I'm not certain that I know. I don't want even to think about it. So everything that can be done within the democratic means is done. When I say that we desire, we hope to have an intervention, inspiration, influence on the outside, is because as it turned out, and I think you are fully aware of this, Israel, unfortunately, under the leadership of Netanyahu, lost every single point of influence and of dialogue with the international community. It's not just, I mean, of course, the obvious, the strong voices are of Macron, of Prime Minister Sturmer, of Chancellor Marz, of Prime Minister Meloni, of Prime Minister of Canada, and their initiatives to somehow change the narrative of the international community. But nowhere in the world can Netanyahu have someone that will listen to him. The only guy that still remains is President Trump. If President Trump will change his attitude, if President Trump will use his power of persuasion, then I think it will be very significant, and it can add that kind of the little grain that can change the tide.
Okay, thanks very much.